My initial impression of Battlefield 5 is that the graphics are good, the gameplay isn't clunky, the controls are good, the scale is huge, destructibility is there, and the grand operations are great in my book. I really enjoyed operations in Battlefield 1. I was very content to sit down and play long matches, so scaling that up to even longer matches with even bigger maps and the little added historical accuracy intro and outros has been very, very fun so far, and I'm just ready to see more of that. However, most of this video is going to focus on my thoughts on the gunplay and the overall balance of the game, especially the gunplay, because there seems to have been a huge focus by DICE on tightening up the gunplay in their Battlefield games. Battlefield 5 gunplay is a lot more Call of Duty-like or Rainbow Six-like than any other game that I've played since maybe Battlefield 3 or 4, and since it's been some years since I've played those, maybe even tighter than those games. When you aim down sights, your gun is way more accurate than it used to be. That sort of invisible hipfire cone that would be around your gun where your bullets would go sideways and wobble, especially when you were suppressed, is gone. When you're suppressed now, it's just a visual disturbance. It no longer affects your accuracy. The hipfire box around your aim down sights is incredibly tight, and in my experience, as long as you're not strafing or running or something while you're shooting, it's dead on accurate, just like any other hit scan game, kind of like Call of Duty. It will punish you if you try to strafe shoot with a lot of these guns, especially the heavier ones, but even when you're strafe shooting, it's still perhaps more accurate than Battlefield 1, and you do get a little bit of inaccuracy if you just go full auto on some of the faster firing SMGs. Hipfire in Battlefield 5 is way more class specific and way less mandatory compared to Battlefield 1, whereas most of my gunfights I would be doing hipfire with the bar or with the Automatico or just something like that because the ADS inaccuracy was frustrating. This game you're only going to want to do it with the SMGs, maybe the rifles if you're up close. There is a specialty like machine gunner class with the MG34 that can only hip fire. It's a bullet hose and it's hilarious, but it can also be ludicrously deadly if you use the bipod and mount it. It's kind of like a laser. Bullet velocity seems to be increased, so I don't have to lead my shots nearly as much on any weapon class, from DMRs to assault rifles to snipers to submachine guns. This is very noticeable on sniper rifles, and it's also very noticeable in close quarters combat. I just kind of treat it like hit scan games, and it's not an issue. There was less delay on bullet registration. This may be just because I'm playing literally on a LAN, just like side by side with everybody versus at home, but hit registration and the speed at which people took damage seems very, very fast, and headshots have increased damage in Battlefield 5. Headshots are very, very serious business, especially on the rifles. They're not quite as powerful on some machine guns because they're low damage for obvious reasons, but the Gewehr, DMR, and the sniper rifle would just take people to town with headshots. Speaking of snipers and headshots and long-range weapons, sniper sweet spots are gone. They deal a very consistent damage over every range as far as I'm aware. Headshot hitboxes are way bigger as well. It is not that hard to get a headshot. I showed you some of my good headshot gameplay there in the beginning. It's not that I'm actually good at aiming. It's rather that Battlefield 5 just makes it easy to get sniper headshots or sniper shots in general. Most of the YouTubers and streamers that were here were doing very, very good work with the sniper rifles, the Kar 98. There is a lot less bullet drop, and the bullet velocity is way faster as well, so overall snipers are just much easier to use. For those of you that hate snipers in Battlefield, because if on a team of 32 people, about 30 of them will be snipers sitting on the mountain, just trying to snipe people like they're in FaZe Clan or something, but they're just way easy to use. It wasn't an issue for me, at least not with this group of people that know how to deal with snipers. At home, that may be a little bit more problematic. But the end result of all of these changes is that guns feel way better and they kill faster. As a non-main Battlefield guy, as a guy who plays Battlefield casually and a bunch of other games, I would come in and I would have kind of this irritating feeling with Battlefield that my bullets, especially in Battlefield 1, would go sideways when I would aim down sights. I would have to hip fire. I would have to lead my shots, even up close quarters combat sometimes, and it wasn't very satisfying gunplay. So this really tightened that up, and it really brought it in line with more modern shooters, and it really rewarded me for having good aim. The downside of this is that you also die a lot faster because everybody else has this same ability to aim. They don't have to lead their shots, they don't have to compensate as much, so you die a lot faster in Battlefield 5 than you do in Battlefield 1 or even Battlefield 4. You just can't tank shots like you used to, you can't depend on inaccuracy, and you can't dodge anything. You really need to be prepared to get picks and kill people very, very quickly. So there's no more pellet gunfights, and that's a change that I personally like. As a balance to this, so that people aren't just lone wolfing and dropping each other really, really quickly, you have a lot less ammo. A lot of guns might only have one extra reserve magazine, sometimes two. They reload slower, and ammo is generally harder to come by. Like, I'm being serious when I tell you you really had better not spray too much, because oftentimes you only have one other magazine to roll back on. Albeit the magazines you do have kill people easier and faster. You just can't do that. I've got unlimited ammo. I'm going to go around and hose the entire enemy team, because that will get you killed very, very quickly. You can loot ammo from dead bodies. You pick up 10, maybe 15 rounds tops. It kind of varies from body to body. You can get them from ammo supply stations or support guys, and it took a little bit of getting used to, but I didn't run out of ammo that often. I started very quickly playing a little more conservative with my ammo, reloading a little bit less often, and making it a point to loot the dead bodies that I killed like they were dropping scavenger packs from Call of Duty. I never noticed the healing changes. I was aware of the healing changes. I watched the reveal. I keep up with the Battlefield news. But when I was playing it, it wasn't a significant part of the game, really. I did notice, technically, that I couldn't recover beyond 60 health, or sometimes beyond 30 if I was hurt really bad. But the speed at which I would get killed by the guns, even at full health, it didn't make that significant of a difference. There was enough medics around, and there were enough medic stations around where if I really wanted to get 100 health, I could, and it wasn't that big of a problem. Now I want to talk about something I don't like, which is the fortification system. The controls for this were kind of unclear to me. It took me a little bit to kind of wrap my brain around it, and it was by far the clunkiest and least natural feeling part of the game. There's a lot of games I play that has buildables, like Fortnite, and this just didn't feel right to me. I didn't have a clear indication of what I was building, where it was building, sometimes why I couldn't build it. When it was done, when my teammate was helping, I didn't know if I should click once or hold and click, or what to equip, and what class built the more advanced fortifications. Nothing about it felt very natural or honestly fun. It was kind of tedious. You also get shot a lot when building, because you're building someplace that has to be defended, so you can build a lot like really fast in the beginning of the game, but after that you can't really build too much, because you'll almost certainly just get shot right in the face while you're trying to put your sandbags down or whatever. You really need a team to do this thing. You need a team to pick a spot to build your squad perhaps and defend that fortification, and if you don't have that, which we didn't have because our mics weren't working at the event, it's not going to be very fun. It can be tactical, it can be well done, it can help you defend places. I did it very well, you'll see in some of the gameplay here. But personally, as a mechanic, I wasn't feeling it. I would rather have the map more fixed, I would rather have more focus on gunplay, and a little bit less on throwing clunky sandbags everywhere. Towing vehicles also really wasn't my jam at all. You would just kind of tow some artillery and some little machine guns and maybe some AA guns or something, but it didn't seem very tactical. At least my team was not able to use it very tactically. You have to load those things with ammo too, and maybe because it was a reveal, or maybe because we were playing with like the Madden guys as well, or the no microphones or whatever, there was virtually zero teamwork with which to try to make this towing thing work. The towing people did just kind of for shits and giggles, and me too, and it wasn't super fun. But on towing and vehicles, I do want to talk about tanks. Tanks are more and less powerful in Battlefield 5. Tanks will absolutely ruin your life in this game. Lots of machine guns, they can drive through houses, lots of high damage bullets, high accuracy. That's pretty normal for Battlefield games. Their ammo is less robust, you have to replenish that. But you do have a lot of tools with which to kill the tanks, especially as the assault guy. You have some very accurate and high damage Panzerfaust. You get some C4, I think it's just like dynamite sticks or those sticky bombs or whatever. And they can't be repaired as easily. You have to have a guy get out of the tank and repair them, which is spooky. So the tank dominance is gone. Even though tanks are still good, and a good tank driver can still ruin your life, you have more tools with which to deal with them, and a tank can't just sit there and infinitely repair until the end of time, and you have like 4 dudes shooting it with rocket launchers and it's still repairing. That won't happen. If you team focus a tank, it goes down really, really fast. On that note, the assault class, Panzerfaust and C4 are extremely strong. You can blow up a lot of stuff with the C4, or it's like dynamite or whatever, you just twist and boom. But the Panzerfaust is borderline broken. It one-shots infantry, it's extremely accurate, there's very little wind-up or delay in using it. I used it very, very effectively to pick off infantry, to pick off snipers, and blow up tanks. it could probably use a balancing pass, because that was really the only thing that stuck out to me that didn't have good balance. Is just, if I really wanted to, I could probably just play Panzerfaust only assault until my ammo ran out. And I get 4 ammo, so that's pretty much 4 guaranteed infantry kills, or maybe 1 guaranteed tank kill. The spotting system has changed a lot. There's way less enemy tagging. There's way less notifications hovering over people's head, and they kind of tag where enemies used to be, where you saw them at that moment. You can spot them with the flare gun. You can do some team callouts and stuff, but you need to rely more on your actual eyes and vision to find the enemies and kill them, and much less so on the minimap and on the little red arrows. As a guy who has color blindness, this is really hard for me, because all of the characters, Axis or allies, they do wear camo, and I am naturally a little colorblind, so even though they don't look exactly the same, they do blend together a little bit, and I found myself shooting teammates way more than I probably should have. I feel like there should be some little red arrows or tags above enemies, or some increase in the spotting system. Normally for games, I'm all about less heads-up display, less indicators, and more relying on your senses in the game for immersion, but in this one, no matter how much I relied on my senses, I had a difficult time spotting enemies, seeing enemies more accurately, and I found it very, very hard to do. My short opinion on this game is that DICE tried to tighten up gunplay a lot. That I feel like at the dev studios, I feel like the crux of all of their decisions was on tightening up gunplay and making gunplay way more satisfying, but when they did that, they found that it screwed up balance in other places, and my suspicion is that with better gunplay, it led to a lot more lone wolfing, and a lot more spawn killing, and a lot more some guy that had like 120 rounds in a light machine gun just murdering people. So almost everything else had to get restricted. Your ammo count had to get restricted, your health regeneration had to get restricted, the roles that you play had to get rebalanced, and they had to add in some buildables and some towables and some other things that enforce team play and conservative play to balance out this really tight, fast killing gunplay. It certainly feels good and feels satisfying, especially as a guy who primarily does not play Battlefield games, but does hit-scan shooters like Overwatch or Rainbow Six or, Fortnite and things like that, Call of Duty, whatever. I don't know if this is going to work in Battlefield, because even with the less ammo, and Battlefield I think does play better as a team game if you get a good team to play it, I still think that the really tight gunplay is going to encourage more lone wolfing. So it's almost going to have the exact opposite direction of Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was built to encourage more team play. Even though I think this game was designed to encourage team play, I have a feeling that the tight gunplay is going to encourage more lone wolfing, so these games are going to diverge quite a bit. Guys, that's all for my opinion on Battlefield 5. I'll have some more videos and a stream later today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drift0r out.